October 6, 2005. I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline. Tonight, a crusading American journalist gunned down last year in Moscow.
Paul, being a business journalist in Russia, it was a very fertile environment within which to work because there literally was so much corruption, so much negligence and abuse in the government.
Billions of dollars, politicians who are corrupt, businessmen who are corrupt, along with organized crime. That's a very dangerous combination.
I'm sure there were people who were very nervous about what was Paul Klebnikov going to investigate next.
Tonight, murder in Moscow. Who killed Paul Klebnikov and why? This is the story of Paul Klebnikov, an American journalist who was killed gangland style in Moscow more than a year ago. The Russian government insists that it has solved the murder, that it was ordered by a fugitive Chechen warlord who may or may not still be alive. A number of Klebnikov's American and Russian colleagues remain unconvinced and are continuing to investigate the crime. There is a committee supported by many news organizations, including ABC News, which tries to keep international attention focused on reporters around the world who have been wrongfully arrested, beaten, tortured, or killed. It's a nonprofit organization known as the Committee to Protect Journalists. I am a longtime supporter of the CPJ, but my colleague, Dave Marish, actually sits on its board of directors. Like most people in almost any profession, we take it very personally when one of our own is murdered, and when we suspect that the truth has not been fully revealed. This is a messy, complicated story, and when all is said and done, we still don't have any definitive answers. This investigation, in other words, is a work in progress. Dave Marish went to Russia and examined the climate in which journalists there have to operate.
When Vladimir Putin won election in 2000 as Russia's president, he did so in spite of the often unfriendly news coverage of popular anchorman Yevgeny Kisilov and the independent NTV television network. Soon after the vote count was official, NTV got new owners and a new anchorman.
I was fired from NTV. Actually, new owners wanted me out, and out I went. As simple as that.
Well, it's almost impossible to do anything in media that has any kind of political connotation without having the arm of censorship from the government being involved.
Boris Jordan was one of those new owners encouraged by the Kremlin to take over NTV. In 2002, his NTV's intense coverage of the terrorist siege at a Moscow theater riveted Russia.
We were the only people that gave real coverage of the crisis. We were invited in, as you know, into the theater. We had cameras in the inside. We showed filming of it.
But to President Putin, coverage like this played into the hands of the terrorists, and he made his displeasure known.
And, you're right, they weren't subtle, and hence I was fired.
So it is for the elite of the news media in Russia. Cross a journalistic red line, pay with your job. Farther down in the news trenches, farther away from Moscow and the attention of the national and international media, the equation is similar but different. In places like Murmansk or Smolensk, Makhachkala or Tolyatti, it's cross a red line, pay with your life.
Journalists don't get killed for nothing. If someone kills a journalist, it means someone wants to shut him up.
The murder of Rumina Elmerzayeva's mentor, an outspoken columnist for a weekly newspaper in Dagestan this summer, brought to an even dozen the number of journalists killed in the line of duty in Russia in the last 5 years. The string of assassinations in provincial cities and towns across the country shows several clear patterns.
This was not the first nor the last sensational murder to remain unsolved.
Unsolved is the official tag on the murder of Dmitry Shvets, an executive at local TV channel 21 in the far northern city of Murmansk.
We would call him Father Dima. His favorite saying was, "Your job is to report, and my job is to protect you."
Channel 21's news editor, Svetlana Bolkova, was leading an investigation of Murmansk's deputy mayor under Father Dima's protection when he was murdered. Shvets's widow says she knows who did the actual shooting.
From my
own sources, I know Dmitri's killer was arrested in St. Petersburg and talked. The killer gave up the names of some middlemen, but he didn't say who gave the order to kill my husband.
Typically, the investigation of the murder of Dmitri Shvets is officially closed for lack of suspects. Paul Quinn Judge, Time magazine's veteran Moscow bureau chief, says there's a message in this.
The failure of investigators to come up at any point with a plausible solution to the murders and a failure to identify those who have ordered or commissioned the murders is a signal to anybody in this country that there are lines that they better not cross.
Which brings us to the final piece of the pattern, the lesson learned in newsrooms across Russia. In Murmansk,
people say the channel has changed for the worse, become softer. Everybody sees it and talks about it.
In Russia's auto capital, Tolyatti, 2 consecutive editors of the daily newspaper The Tolyatti Observer were killed apparently for their coverage of local crime syndicates. Their successor admits,
I can't say that we are such brave lads as they were. It's impossible to work the way they did.
Those journalists who follow the principles of freedom of speech, who really love their profession, they are risking their lives.
Those were the ground rules for journalism in Russia when the American newsman Paul Klebnikov first came from New York City to Moscow as a reporter in 1992. And they were still the rules when he was assassinated, July 9th, 2004.
Paul Klebnikov went to Russia on a mission, and he paid the ultimate price. Part 2 of Dave Marish's report when we return.
This is ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by IBM.
Did you feel that? Something is coming. A force from overseas, perhaps? A new competitor? Or change itself? Can't you feel it?
Feel what, Sir Arthur?
Am I alone in this?
Change is coming. IBM Business Consulting helps you manage it.
Hey, batter. Hey, batter.
First base, $58. Second base, 630 pesos. Third base, 300,000 yen. Home, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Fan of the game, wherever there's a game.
Friday, 2020 takes on the Great America Real Estate Game. Do you know how to play? What's flipping? What's fluffing? Do you really need an agent? And will building your dream house leave you in the poorhouse? Friday, how you can win at the Real Estate Game on 2020. Stories that touch your life.
Both Local 10 and United Way are about people, and specifically our South Florida community.
Lori Jennings, Local 10 News.
She knows this community. She knows what makes people tick.
If we're not out there and actively involved in the community, we're just reporting the same basic news everyone else is.
When you see that smile light up on Local 10, it's not acting. That's the real Lori Jennings.
She is Local 10, and she is South Florida.
We love you, Lori!
From the people who brought you the world's very first car comes the Mercedes-Benz Grand Sports Tourer. Introducing the R-Class with seating for 6 and 4-wheel drive.
number of people who came to this memorial service at Moscow's Christ the Savior Cathedral on the first anniversary of his murder are one indication of the impact of Paul Klebnikov's career and murder. During his years in Russia, he took on many of the country's toughest stories and made powerful enemies. But many Russian readers apparently considered the editor of the hot new Russian edition of Forbes magazine to be a valued voice.
He was an extraordinary person, charming, well-educated, a man with strong beliefs about what he was doing.
He was very intense, a very energetic, resourceful, intense young man who projected a lot of confidence, a lot of smarts.
Klebnikov had not only become a very successful journalist, he was a man on a mission.
He, like many of us, when he was a child, he wanted to change the world. But the difference was that he actually held on to that dream and realized it to an extent. And he wanted to reform an entire criminalized economy.
According to witnesses, Paul Klebnikov's murder happened like this. As usual, he had been working late at the office. He left sometime after 9:30 and started down his usual shortcut to the subway. It was somewhere right around here that he was intercepted by at least 2 gunmen in a car. They had the advantage of the full twilight that still prevails even after 10 o'clock on July 9th in Moscow. Gave them plenty of light to identify their victim, plenty of light to put 11 bullets into Paul Klebnikov's body. This very professional hit left Klebnikov alive for another half hour, but unable to name who shot him. Alexander Vershbo, who recently completed his tour as American ambassador in Moscow, says the U.S. government asked the Kremlin to allow the FBI to take part in the investigation.
They chose to do this on their own. It's their sovereign prerogative to do that, but our offer still stands. But we've certainly made clear to them the political significance of this case.
The chief Russian prosecutor says he's cracked the case without American help, arresting the alleged shooters, 2 Chechen mobsters, even naming the man who allegedly hired them, Chechen warlord Khoz Ahmed Nukhayev, the subject of Klebnikov's last book, Conversations with a Barbarian.
I personally don't take it in the least bit seriously. I think it was much too fast.
First reactions in Moscow treated the prosecutor's claim skeptically.
This version is too profitable for the Russian government. Probably it was cooked up to conceal the real reason.
We're very interested to evaluate the evidence, and we hope that the investigation won't be suspended until every lead is explored and every possible suspect is identified.
The ambassador says the Klebnikov case was even raised personally by President George W. Bush.
The president asked President Putin about the investigation during their last meeting here in Moscow at the beginning of May. And Secretary Rice has raised it several times as well. And we've been gratified that President Putin is following the case and that he appreciates the sensitivity of this case.
I'm one of the most crazy journalists in Russia.
Actually, Yulia Latinin is regarded as among the smartest commentators on Moscow's still uniquely independent Radio Echo Moskvy. She endorses the Chechens did it solution.
Not generally on the persecution side. I'm an opposition journalist. But when I read Mr. Klebnikov's book, Conversation with a Barbarian, I thought, hey, this guy will be murdered.
Many have found things in Klebnikov's book which might have offended its subject, but others say the Chechen warlord liked the book. In any case, a leading Chechen reporter says the warlord theory has a fatal flaw. The alleged killer, whom the Kremlin calls missing, Timur Aliyev calls long dead.
Klebnikov was killed on July 9th, 2004, and Nukhayev had already been killed in the mountains of Dagestan in the late winter or early spring of that year. How could he have instigated the murder if he had been dead for half a year?
But if it wasn't Nukhaev, then who was behind the killing of Paul Klebnikov? More on the murder of a journalist when we return.
It takes a family to make a house a home, and a home to turn a dream into a future. So if you have a dream...
In Chicago, I'm your man. I'm an AmeriQuest mortgage specialist.
So if you're thinking of buying a home or refinancing...
I'll help you pay off your high-interest credit cards and lower your monthly payments.
I'm an AmeriQuest mortgage specialist, and I'm here to help you with your dream.
Call 1-800-AmeriQuest or visit AmeriQuest.com. AmeriQuest Mortgage, proud sponsor of the American dream.
Introducing Crest Sensitivity with Whitening Plus Scope. Finally, maximum strength sensitivity protection and scope freshness. Crest Sensitivity.
The Verizon Fiber Optic Broadband Network.
Connecting more people
to gaming, video, music, and each other. My job?
My job.
My job. Make the network even stronger.
Faster, more powerful.
With our growing team of experts, we're building the only large-scale, fully fiber optic network in America.
To deliver the next generation, phone, internet, and TV. I'm proud.
I'm proud.
I'm proud.
We're proud to be Verizon. Our people, our network.
My doctor said my type 2 diabetes was out of control. That high blood sugar increased my risk of serious complications. He said I better diet, exercise, take my medicine. Yeah. I heard it all before. Well, maybe I should have listened.
Every year, up to 24,000 people lose their eyesight to diabetes. Even more are at risk for stroke, heart attack, and limb loss. If you have high blood sugar, get help. Call or visit diabetes.com.
A microdermabrasion resurfaces. A mini peel refinishes. Olay introduces a new at-home treatment. Regenerist microdermabrasion and peel. 2 treatments, 1 system. To get significant skin improvement, stay home.
Bush defends his Supreme Court nomination.
People want to know why he chose somebody who has no experience. And Bush defended her today. He said, hey, if I'm qualified to be president, who isn't qualified?
Tonight, Clay Aiken and Jimmy Kimmel Live. Good times coming up, only on ABC.
I never thought it would be so much work! Watch out! I think there's a pitfall up ahead!
Selling your home shouldn't be this hard. At RE/MAX, you'll find an experienced agent to take on the job and make your life a whole lot simpler.
Paper cut?
Yeah.
Let's stick with RE/MAX.
Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX.
One of the biggest problems in finding Paul Klebnikov's killers is that there are just too many people who might have a motive. In Russia today, a reporter asking too many questions can quickly offend a lot of interests.
I think there were a lot of people, very powerful people, people who had a lot to hide, who were extremely nervous about Paul and what he knew.
Paul Klebnikov was never shy about taking on the powerful and making powerful enemies. He made his name with articles and a book about the Russian tycoon Boris Berezovsky called Godfather of the Kremlin that explored the notorious billionaire's record of political manipulation and questionable business practices. Berezovsky successfully sued over the accusation in one article that he had ordered a murder.
Berezovsky didn't like the book and everybody knew it, but in the end, the book turned out to be advantageous for him. Before, nobody knew who he was, but after, everybody started talking about Berezovsky.
Berezovsky faces fraud and corruption charges in Russia and now lives in comfortable exile in England. After Klebnikov's murder, Berezovsky told the Moscow Times, quote, "Somebody clearly did not like the way he operated and decided to sort it out with him Russian style, not through the English courts like I did."
There were plenty of reasons for a lot of people, I suspect, in the structures of the elite in this country, political or business, to feel rather uncomfortable having Paul Klebnikov nosing around.
Several sources close to the Klebnikov family tell ABC News that shortly before he died, Paul Klebnikov had come into possession of documents that were potentially explosive. The exact nature of the documents is not known, but the American reportedly had been pursuing several dangerous stories, one of them real estate and Moscow's building boom.
Paul was readying a series of articles on real estate in Moscow, and Moscow's a boom town. There's construction cranes in every corner of the city. Billions of dollars are being made. And Paul was chiefly concerned that entire city neighborhoods were being destroyed.
When it comes to making mega money, few places in Russia or the world are hotter than Moscow real estate. The tragic fire that wiped out the Manege and historic exhibition hall ended decisively an argument between preservationists and developers about the site, and inevitably gave rise to rumors about arson. Boris Jordan grew up with Paul Klebnikov in New York, and then he became one of the foremost American investors in the new Russia. But not, he says, in Moscow real estate.
Because you virtually can't do anything in real estate without paying bribes or corrupting close to government officials. So we have no investments in real estate due to that reason.
Klebnikov had invested his heart in one piece of Moscow real estate, his church, Father Leonid Kalinin's church. The Klebnikov Memorial Foundation is contributing to repairs for the building.
We are like a living museum, walking around in fancy clothes, carrying candles, ringing the bells, but none of this belongs to us.
Like every other desirable location in Moscow, Father Leonid's 18th century Baroque classic church could always become a bullseye for some developer's blueprint or torch.
If something happens to this church, someone will build something different. The authorities' greatest concern is to take as much property as they can. For them, a church is just a blank spot on their map.
Klebnikov's journalistic interest in the Moscow real estate market was manifest in Forbes Russia's list of the 100 richest people in the country, which included a couple of major players on that field. And Klebnikov was also investigating allegations of corruption in the auto industry, centered in the city of Tolyatti, where those two successive editors were murdered. He had contacted the dead man's lawyer just a week before he died. It was another red line investigation.
He was conducting an independent investigation and collecting data. He wanted to know what the murdered journalists were investigating.
But according to one of Russia's top news monitors, Oleg Panfilov, Paul Klebnikov was poking into an even more dangerous story in the weeks before his death.
Number one on the list of officially undesirable issues is, beyond doubt, Chechnya. Virtually any information contradicting the official view of events in Chechnya is forbidden.
Obviously, the money going into Chechnya has been quite substantial in reconstruction. And one thing I can tell you is if you look at film footage of Grozny and other areas, you don't really see that reconstruction happening.
Enormous amounts of money meant for the rebuilding of Chechnya have been stolen and redistributed among officials, not just in Grozny, but in Moscow. Klebnikov was going to write more about corruption in Chechnya. That may have been what he was killed for.
There are so many red lines for reporters in Russia, and Paul Klebnikov seems to have investigated all of them. This leaves a lot of plausible suspects, in addition to those officially accused.
It was somebody who was comfortable enough to feel that he or she could get away with the assassination of a prominent figure in Moscow and resist all pressure for an in-depth investigation. That leads me to believe it's somebody who is exceedingly rich and therefore exceedingly well connected in this political system in this country at the moment.
I would like to see many years from now this tragic event to be remembered as a turning point where Russia looked at itself, looked inside its famous Russian soul, and said that we cannot continue living like this anymore. We must stand up as a society to corruption and to criminality.
Paul Klebnikov died in service to a dangerous dream of a Russia where business is honest and transparent, and information and the media that deal in it are free. Klebnikov's death and all the investigation and debate that have followed it stand like milestones along a difficult and dangerous road to his dreams' fulfillment. I'm Dave Marish for Nightline in Moscow.
I'll be back in a moment with an apology and a note about tomorrow's Nightline.
It's no contest. For faster pain relief, Advil liquid gels are faster and stronger on tough pain than Tylenol rapid release gels. And Advil liquid gels are the only leading brand with real liquid inside. Advil liquid gels. Liquid fast, Advil strong.
These multivitamins are about the number of ingredients. Centrum knows it's about something more. Balancing combinations of nutrients, like C recharging E for antioxidant power that help your body get more out of Centrum. Centrum is balanced and the most complete.
Oh man, a paper jam.
Paper jam. Get Pam, get Pam.
I am.
We always get slammed with these paper jams.
Give it a good wham.
I couldn't find Pam, so I got Graham.
Why are we rhyming?
Guys, the presentation will be fine. We've got an easy button.
When it comes to making copies, every business has an easy button. It's called Staples. Our copy and print center can handle any job, big or small, when you need it done right.
Here's a diagram, ma'am.
Staples. That was easy. Come in and get color copies for just 39 cents now through November 12th.
The top names in golf gathered in San Francisco. Tiger Woods, part of a large group, 3 shots off the lead of Colin Montgomery. We'll take you through the weekend, 4:30 Saturday, 1:30 Sunday. Late night shows tonight, tomorrow night at the American Express Championship.
Floors Today's amazing 49-cent floor sale.
Walk this way, it's Floors Today. Floors Today. Floors Today.
Through this weekend, walk this way to Floors Today and pay just 49 cents a square foot, up to 70% off everything. Gorgeous hardwood and easy to install click-together laminate flooring on sale for just 49 cents a foot through this weekend only.
Walk this way, it's Floors Today. Floors Today.
Discover the best in designer home fashions at Carl's Columbus Day sale. Explore Carl's showrooms for the latest exquisite looks. Drastically reduced prices mean spectacular savings. Pay nothing until 2007. Carl's huge Columbus Day sale on now. Don't miss it.
Steven!
Oh, I was just hungry.
Was dinner not good enough for you?
Sorry.
Oh, you're darn right you're sorry.
Everyone wants the new fresh toasted chicken Parmesan sandwich, zesty marinara, melted cheese, only at Subway restaurants.
Explore a great night's sleep at Carl's Columbus Day mattress sale. Discover Carl's exclusive Sealy Alistair pillow top, half off at only $5.99, and you pay nothing until 2007. Carl's huge Columbus Day mattress sale on now. Don't miss it.
The folks at Goodwill Industries are upset with us because we left you with the distinct impression last night that theirs is a for-profit and not a charitable organization. Well, that's incorrect. When clothes or other goods are donated to Goodwill, they do turn around and sell them, some of them overseas. They are, in their own words, a charity that runs a business. They use the money generated by the sale of donated goods to operate social service programs for the needy, including victims of Katrina. Goodwill Industries is a charity, and we apologize for leaving any other impression. Now, a note about tomorrow's Nightline. Over the years, we've reported extensively on the increase of autism among American children. But what happens when those autistic children become adults? Tomorrow on Nightline, we'll look at the challenges for families of autistic adults.
We were told that he would eventually have to be institutionalized. And when we heard that, it was, don't tell me that. There's nothing wrong with my child.
A place in the world living with adult autism. That's tomorrow on Nightline. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Starting Sunday, from the global resources of ABC News, a week of investigative reporting no American family can afford to miss. The new nuclear threat, Main Street, the new terror threat. React, prepare, protect. Only on ABC News. For your many sons. The all-new 306 horsepower IS from Lexus.
You gotta go! Go, go, go! Yeah, you gotta go, go, go! You gotta eat!
Try Checkers' new Jim Beam Double Cheddar Burger and Cheddar Chicken Sandwich, smothered in grilled onions and Jim Beam barbecue sauce. Now just 2 for $3. So go to Checkers, cause you gotta eat.
You gotta eat!
College football's championship game is coming, and you could score. Win your way to LA with Land Rover for a VIP tour of ABC's high-definition in-control center. For your chance to win, enter at your local Land Rover retailer. Visit your South Florida Land Rover retailer today.
Trying to find that perfect job in the Miami area? Local10.com can help. Our partner Monster will help you search for a new job. Prepare for that big interview. Get results. Monster and Local10.com. Today's the day.
Dwight Lauderdale, Lori Jennings, Local 10 News.